Welcome to this exercise on the topic of company valuation. Here we have a company which reports a debt position of 350 million with an average interest rate of 5.1%. Additionally, we have the equity position of this company, which is 600 million, and we know that the risk-free interest rate lies at 2.5%, and the company faces a risk premium of 7%. Additionally, we have the following forecast for the NOPAT, amortization and investment numbers for the next 5 years in distinct form, and then from 29 onwards continuously for an infinitely long time horizon, these numbers. Based on those numbers, we are asked to first determine the WACC, the weighted average cost of capital, and using this, the entity and equity value. So let's start with the WACC. For this, I copied the 2 lines of the exercise which will be relevant here. And the WACC, weighted average, so we need to determine weights first. Weights, that's the share of foreign capital in overall capital position and the share of equity in overall capital position. Well, I already indicated debt is foreign capital. So total capital position for our company is 950 million. And the debt share is then 350 over 950. So that's the share of foreign capital. And 600 over 950 is the share of equity in total capital. Those 2 weights are then multiplied with the respective costs. The cost of foreign capital is 5.1%, the cost of the debt. And the cost for equity is the risk-free interest rate plus the risk premium. So 2.5 plus 7% give 9.5%. The weighted average of these 2 cost factors is 7.88%. So this is our WACC. This WACC can then be used for the calculation of entity and equity values. For this, I'm copying the WACC, and I'm also copying the table from the exercise text. And I'm going to expand this table a little bit. First, by the free cash flows, which I can simply calculate as NOPAT plus amortization minus investments. So in this case, the money still available after having done investments. So here I calculate, for example, 230 plus 50 is 280, minus 200 is 80. 340 plus 100 minus 150 gives 290. However, those free cash flows have the disadvantage. They are the values for each of the years on its own. So this is the value of the income cash flow in 27, not today. So we first have to get those values to their worth on today's level so that we can add them up into a single value for today. And this we can do by discounting our cash flows. Discounting means we're going to divide the cash flows by 1 plus the WACC to the power of the respective year in which we are. So this is the first, second, third, fourth, fifth year. So here we go 80 divided by 1 plus WACC to the power of 1. Here 290 divided by, in parentheses, 1 plus WACC, parentheses closing, to the power of 2, because it's second year. Here in the third year, 310 divided by 1 plus WACC, in parentheses, to the power of 3. Here we do it with power of 4 and power of 5, giving us these 5 discounted values. 29 is a little bit different because this is just a placeholder for an infinitely long series of payments. So to make this a little bit more manageable, we're going to use what we know about the perpetuity to boil this down into one value for 29 first. This we can do by simply dividing the free cash flow by the WACC. This gives us the value of this infinitely long payment period in 29. So it's like the net value of the perpetuity we calculate, and using this net value of the perpetuity, which is still in a value for 29, we're going to discount this again, using here as a discount factor 1 plus the WACC to the power of 6, because 29 would be the 6th year. Then this yields us this result here. Okay, those are each of the cash flows discounted, so we can sum them up, giving us our entity value. However, this entity value is not owned by us alone, because it's also owned by the holders of our debt. So we have to consider the debt position here of 350, subtract this from our entity value, and only then will we get our equity value. So that's what the company is worth to the equity holders. Well, that's then about it on this exercise. So we determined the WACC, entity, and equity value of the company. Well, this concludes the exercise, so I say goodbye and see you next time.